In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to build a HACCP plan step by step, using a realistic food manufacturing example. This is not a simplified version, and it's not just definitions. I'm going to explain what information you actually need, why each step exists, and how this is evaluated during audits and inspections. If you are responsible for food safety, quality, or compliance, this will help you understand how HACCP is built in practice. Most HACCP plans fail for very similar reasons. They are often copied from another facility, written to satisfy a requirement, or created without fully understanding the process. During audits, I frequently see plans that list hazards without justification, identify CCPs that don't need to be CCPs, or describe a process that does not match what is happening on the production floor. HACCP only works when it is process-specific, realistic, and maintained over time. HACCP is a preventive food safety system. Instead of relying on finished product testing, HACCP focuses on identifying where hazards could reasonably occur and controlling them before they become a problem. Testing alone cannot guarantee food safety. By the time a test result comes back, the product is often already produced or distributed. HACCP shifts the focus from reaction to prevention. HACCP matters because it is the foundation of most food safety systems. It is required or expected under FDA regulations, GFSI-recognized schemes, and many customer or retailer requirements. When inspections or audits occur, the HACCP plan is often reviewed early in the process because it explains how the facility controls food safety risks. A weak HACCP plan usually indicates weaknesses in the overall food safety system. Before building a HACCP plan, a facility must have strong prerequisite programs. These include good manufacturing practices, sanitation programs, employee training, supplier approval, pest control, and preventive maintenance. HACCP is not designed to control basic hygiene or housekeeping issues. If those programs are weak, HACCP will be overloaded with unnecessary controls. A common mistake is trying to fix GMP problems by adding CCPs, which is not how HACCP is intended to function. For this example, we'll use a refrigerated, ready-to-eat fruit juice. The juice is packaged in bottles, stored under refrigeration, and consumed without further processing. This is a realistic example because ready-to-eat products present higher food safety risk, especially for biological hazards, since the consumer does not apply a kill step before consumption. This context will influence the hazard analysis and control decisions. The product description documents key characteristics of the product. This typically includes ingredients, formulation, packaging type, storage conditions, shelf life, and distribution method. For our juice example, refrigeration is critical because temperature abuse could allow microbial growth. The product description provides the foundation for identifying hazards that are realistic for that specific product. Next, you define the intended use of the product. This includes how the product is expected to be consumed and by whom. In this case, the juice is intended to be consumed directly by the general population, including potentially vulnerable individuals. This increases the importance of controlling hazards during production because there is no opportunity for the consumer to eliminate risks. The process flow diagram outlines each step in the production process from receiving through distribution. This must reflect what actually happens, not what procedures say should happen. For example, if fruit is sometimes staged at room temperature before processing, that step must be included. Auditors often verify this by physically walking the process and comparing it to the diagram. An inaccurate flow diagram can undermine the entire HACCP plan. Hazard analysis is the core of HACCP. At each step of the process, you identify potential biological, chemical, and physical hazards that could reasonably occur. You then evaluate the severity and likelihood of each hazard and determine how it is controlled. For example, pathogens may be a concern during juicing if there is no kill step, while chemical hazards may relate to cleaning agents and physical hazards may originate from equipment. Not every identified hazard requires a CCP if it is adequately controlled by prerequisite programs. A critical control point is a step where control is essential to prevent or eliminate a hazard, or reduce it to an acceptable level. If the juice is pasteurized, that step may be identified as a CCP for biological hazards. If there is no kill step, the hazard may instead be controlled through supplier controls, sanitation, refrigeration, and shelf life validation. The decision must be justified and documented. Critical limits define the boundaries of safe operation at a CCP. These limits must be measurable and supported by scientific or regulatory evidence. Examples include minimum pasteurization temperatures, maximum storage temperatures, or pH limits. Critical limits must be clearly defined so operators can easily determine whether the process is under control. Monitoring ensures that CCPs remain within critical limits. Monitoring procedures define what is measured, how often, and who is responsible. Monitoring must be practical and consistently performed. If monitoring is skipped or not recorded, there is no evidence that the CCP was under control. Corrective actions define what to do when monitoring indicates a loss of control. This includes identifying affected product, determining its disposition, correcting the cause of the deviation, and documenting the action taken. Corrective actions should be specific and realistic, not vague statements. Verification activities confirm that the HACCP plan is functioning as intended. This may include record reviews, calibration of monitoring equipment, internal audits, and validation studies. Verification is typically conducted by supervisory or quality personnel and helps identify gaps before they become serious issues. Record keeping is essential to HACCP. Records provide evidence that controls were implemented as planned and allow issues to be traced and investigated. During audits, records are often reviewed in more detail than the HACCP plan itself. Incomplete or missing records can result in nonconformances even if controls are effective. Common HACCP mistakes include using generic templates without customization, identifying too many CCPs, and failing to update the plan when the process changes. Best practice HACCP is specific, justified, and reviewed regularly. The HACCP plan should evolve as the operation, ingredients, or equipment change. One important point that often gets overlooked is that a HACCP plan is not a one-time document. A HACCP plan must be reviewed and updated whenever there are changes that could impact food safety. This includes changes to ingredients, suppliers, equipment, processing steps, packaging, or even production volumes. For example, switching to a new supplier, adding a new product line, changing cleaning chemicals, or modifying processing times can all affect the hazard analysis. Auditors frequently ask when the HACCP plan was last reviewed and what triggered the review. If the process has changed but the HACCP plan has not been updated, that is often cited as a nonconformance. Best practice is to formally review the HACCP plan at least annually, and immediately whenever significant changes occur. This ensures the plan continues to reflect the actual process and remains effective. A HACCP plan is not just a regulatory requirement. It is a reflection of how your process actually works. When built correctly, it helps prevent food safety incidents and supports compliance. If you want a HACCP plan template you can customize for your operation, you'll find a link in the description. Subscribe for practical food safety training, and let me know what topic you'd like to see next.